I can't wait for this one, and I know all of you are with me. Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 2 at Arrowhead Stadium. Super Bowl 59 rematch coming up on Sunday, and coming up here on the show, a preview for that game on Eagles Now. But let's begin here. I want to hear from all of you. If you think the Eagles can beat the Chiefs again, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If not, show me that you know ball and comment why. And with that, let's get that preview underway right now. All right, here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Senior, and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Super Bowl 59 rematch, Eagles-Chiefs Week 2, a preview for this big ball game for both teams because they both have a lot to prove, and the stage is set once again. Game going down Sunday, September 14th. Kickoff is slated for 4:25 p.m. Eastern, 1:25 p.m. on the West Coast. It will be the Fox game of the week. So Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady on the call. We'll, of course, be doing a watch party for this game right here on the channel. Subscribe and join us. It's the best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. There's been a lot of line movement because of this potential Jalen Carter suspension. We'll see what happens on that front. We'll talk about his impact here in a few moments. But right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are 1-point road favorites. The over-under for this game, 47 even. And you think back and you look back to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans at the Superdome in February. Philadelphia able to win with a swarming, unrelenting pass rush. Their front was incredible. They didn't blitz once, and they were all over Patrick Mahomes from the start of that game until the end. This was also key. Philadelphia won the turnover battle 3-1, obviously highlighted by the Cooper DeJean pick 6. Philadelphia also won time of possession by 13 minutes in this 60-minute ball game, and the Chiefs stat padded late. The score, 40-22, didn't really tell the full story of the game. It was a blowout. At one point, Philadelphia led 34-0. At one point also, they led 40-6 before the Chiefs scored those 22 points in garbage time. And that pass rush, 16 pressures on Patrick Mahomes, 11 quarterback hits, and 6 sacks for Vic Fangio's defense, and they did not blitz once. Jalen Hurts in that game needed to play well because you knew that Steve Spagnuolo was going to sell out in trying to stop the run, load the box, and stop Saquon Barkley. He forced Jalen Hurts to beat his defense, and Hurts did that. Played his best game of his career, in my opinion. Quick decisions, threw with touch, timing, and accuracy, went for the kill shot, gave Nick Sirianni a list of plays that if the Eagles wanted to go for that kill shot, the Devontae dagger was on it. He used his legs very effectively, and the Chiefs had no answers. 17-22 en route to winning Super Bowl MVP, 221 passing yards, 10 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I thought he was great on the money downs, a rating of 119.7, and he also tallied 11 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. And this is another installment of this Eagles-Chiefs rivalry. They, of course, met in 2022, Super Bowl 57. Philadelphia should have won that game. They did not. They choked it away in that second half. Patrick Mahomes in the final 30 minutes of Super Bowl 57 had 1 incompletion. It came on a throwaway. In 2023, the Chiefs went into Arrowhead Stadium, and they pulled off a pretty epic win in what ended up being a down year for Philadelphia. And that year, Kansas City went back-to-back and won another ring. And then, of course, in Super Bowl 59, the Eagles get their revenge. And in 2 Super Bowl matchups, Jalen Hurts has played better than Patrick Mahomes. Of course, the record is even at 1-1. Philadelphia's averaged 37.5 points in those 2 Super Bowls. The Chiefs, 30, led by Patrick Mahomes. Hurts has the edge too in completion percentage, 73.3% to Mahomes' 71.2%. Hurts has 525 passing yards, Mahomes 439. Hurts has 142 rushing yards, Mahomes only 69. Hurts with 7 total touchdowns to Mahomes' 6, and then turnovers, 2 for Hurts, 3 for Patrick Mahomes. And of course, one of the lasting images of Super Bowl 59, this play and this photo here to my right. And it really encapsulated what the Eagles were able to accomplish in that game. They confused Patrick Mahomes. He was flustered. That's a big reason why he gave it up 3 times. He had no time to really survey the field, go through his progressions, because the Eagles were in his face all throughout the evening, led by number 98, Jalen Carter. Now, I'm recording this on Tuesday, September 9th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, as I record this show. Vic Fangio just held a press conference, and he said we'll know soon what the status of Jalen Carter is for this Week 2 game. NFL, as of right now, has not made that decision. But obviously, we'll see what happens. He spit on the chest of Dak Prescott. He could get suspended for this game. Of course, the Eagles could appeal it. At the very least, he is going to get fined. And if he's on the field, if he's not on the field, it goes a long way in determining this game, because Jalen Carter is one of the best overall players in the National Football League. Last year, a second-team All-Pro. He was a force, a big reason why the Eagles hoisted that second Lombardi trophy and had a second parade down Broad Street. Among defensive tackles last year, number 1 in snaps, number 3 in pressure rate, number 4 in pass rush win rate, tied for 3rd in sacks, 2nd in quarterback hits, 2nd in hurries with 52, 1st in batted passes. That's an underrated skill to his game. He had 3 forced fumbles. That was 1st at the position. His run stop win rate, he's not just a pass rusher, 3rd at 7.2%, and he had 8 TFLs. That was number 1 among all defensive tackles. You could see that once he got ejected prior to the first play from scrimmage, the Cowboys went right at that Eagles defensive line. They had a lot of success too. They averaged 5.5 yards per play. Dak Prescott said that changed the Cowboys' entire game plan. I thought Dak was really good. The Eagles' pass rush was pretty solid, but they missed Jalen Carter. Dak 21 at 34, a $188. And then this was the big thing right here. The Cowboys had a lot of success on the ground because Jalen Carter was not there for this Eagles interior defensive line. 22 carries, a $119, 5.4 yards per carry for the Cowboys offense in Week 1. Time of possession, Eagles won it, but the Cowboys, they were able to run the ball right at Philadelphia at the Jalen Carter-less Eagles defense. So we'll see what happens on that front. If the Eagles do have him, it's a huge lift. If the Eagles do not, it's a huge gift for the Kansas City Chiefs. With that, who you got in this game? Type PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles, KC for the Kansas City Chiefs. Get your predictions in. I'll give you my prediction toward the end of the show. Eagles able to beat the Cowboys in Week 1. Hurts, MVP of that game with what he was able to do on the money downs. He had the 51-yard throw downfield to Jahan Dotson, a rope of a dime. Really the big story, though, how he was able to impact the game with his legs, with his feet, especially on those big downs in critical junctures of that game. The Eagles' defense, very slow to start. The secondary, not great. To their credit, though, they improved as the game progressed. They pitched a second-half shutout. There's room to get better offensively and defensively, but you do see the talent and the foundation for Philadelphia. Kevin Patullo and the Eagles' offense, pretty rocky in his debut, but keep in mind the Eagles' offense and the ones did not play at all throughout the preseason. They can get better. I expect them to. The secondary has to be buttoned up. It wasn't against Dallas. Dak Prescott played pretty well, and if it weren't for CeeDee Lamb dropping 4 passes, Cowboys could have won that game. I do think this is important to note. The weather delay ruined offensive flow for both teams. And if the Eagles were able to go on the field offensively after they forced that fumble, I think they march right down the field and they extend on their lead. Instead, they force the fumble. Byron Young, Jahad Campbell, Quinyon Mitchell scoops it up. The weather delay hits. They grow cold, and the offense just wasn't the same. In the first half, they scored 3 touchdowns on their 3 offensive drives. So everybody likes to point out that they weren't good. In the second half, yeah, they weren't great, nor were the Cowboys, though, because of that weather delay, in my opinion. As for the Kansas City Chiefs in the opening week of the season, they did what the Eagles did last year, except they didn't win. They went to Brazil. And so both teams have a little bit of a mini bye, But the Eagles, all they have to do is travel from Philadelphia to Kansas City. They played on Thursday. The Chiefs played the Chargers on Friday, but they had to travel all the way back internationally, back to KC. And my takeaway with Kansas City, they're without their top two wideouts, Xavier Worthy, more on him in a moment, and Rashee Rice. On the offensive side of the football specifically, I thought they looked talent deficient. And then you watch that Sunday night game between Baltimore and Buffalo, and you're like, it's even crazier that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen haven't been able to beat Patrick Mahomes, because the last couple of years, they have been carried by Mahomes. And the Bills and Ravens have been better. They have to take down Kansas City this year because they are far superior as far as their talent goes. The Chargers look like the much better team, talent-wise, as compared to Kansas City. Justin Herbert in that game, nearly perfect. He was flawless. He played awesome against that Kansas City defense. Patrick Mahomes, because they were short at wideout and they don't have a ton of talent on the offensive side of the pill, used his legs a lot. Kansas City, they also ran out of close game luck. Last year, they were incredible at being able to win and close out close games. They couldn't do that against the Chargers in Brazil. And look, going into this game, the Eagles have their work cut out for them. It is going to be really hard to drop the Chiefs to 0-2 under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And you know what Reid is going to do with a couple more days to prepare, right? He always does this. He's so good coming off of buys, but he pulls out all the stops. He pulls out all of the tricks. And so in this game, you're going to see new looks. You're going to see new play designs. You're going to see new concepts. You're going to see trick plays, and the Eagles have to be ready for that. As far as some injury news on both sidelines here, Xavier Worthy, who I know it was garbage time, he was really impressive as a rookie in that Super Bowl 59 game, able to get past that Eagles secondary and make some explosive plays downfield. He's a burner. He's an electrifying guy. Not going to play in this game, most likely. Has a separated shoulder. He's seeking a second opinion. They could try to put a brace on that, and it could be a 1 to 4 week injury. But if he has to get surgery, he could be lost for the year. Only lasted 3 plays in that game against the Chargers. And so that's a huge loss for this KC offense. As far as Rashee Rice goes, he's already serving a 6-game suspension because of the car and accident incident that he caused in Dallas, Texas, where it was a huge car pileup and the biggest highway that runs right through the heart of Dallas was backed up for hours. And so he's out serving a 6-game suspension. He is their number 1 wideout. So again, Kansas City down their top 2 wide receivers in this game. Will Shipley, I don't think he's going to play in this game. I think that's a big reason why the Eagles traded for Tank Bigsby. And Tank Bigsby is a legitimate player. Former 3rd-round pick out of Auburn. He is a bull in the china shop type of running style running back where he is a one-cut, downhill, violent runner. And so he's going to get some of those carries that Shipley's not going to get. But an underrated portion of this move, and Philadelphia didn't give up nothing, a 5th and a 6th-round pick in 2026, is that Bigsby, I think, is going to be the primary kick returner for Philadelphia in place of Will Shipley, who I really like as a player. And so I think the Eagles made that move because they know Shipley could be a short-term IR candidate. And then there's Landon Dickerson. Had the knee in August, got surgery on that meniscus, came back, hurt his back. Then against Dallas, hurt his back again. I think he's going to be good to go because the Eagles release Kenyon Green. I think they hold on to Kenyon Green after they instead waived him. If Landon Dickerson, let me just say this. If Landon Dickerson was hurt and he's going to be out long-term, right? I think the Eagles hold on to Kenyon Green. Instead, they waived him, and that tells me they're not too worried about the long-term status and the short-term status of one of the best left guards in football. So much more to get to here in our Eagles-Chiefs Week 2 preview. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're bringing you the heat every single day year-round. And I'm not cocky when I say this, but I do think we do something special here. There is nobody on YouTube, as far as content creators go, that produces more Eagles content than me. And we want all of our shows to be informative, insightful, thought-provoking, entertaining. We want you to have a voice. So lock us in, hit that subscribe button so that you can be a more informed Eagles fan, but also we go live for every single Eagles game. Eagles-Chiefs watch party coming up on Sunday. We're closing in on 127,000 subscribers. Hit that sub button, and let's get there with this video. Coming up next here on the show, my keys to the game for the Eagles to move to 2-0 and to drop the Chiefs to 0-2. You don't want to miss that. It's coming up just around the corner. But I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Chubbies. And a lot of you have really liked the Chubbies Eagles polos that I've worn. There's this style, and then there's that green one that I've worn a lot. Well, I have some great news for all of you. You can get $10 off their NFL collection if you go to chubbyshorts.com/chatsports and you use the code chatsports. Furthermore, so many more products that we can tell you about thanks to our sponsor, Chubbies. The leaves are turning, the temperatures are dropping, and the weekend air is getting that nice autumn fall crisp. Just because the weather is changing doesn't mean you have to pack away the fun. That's where Chubbies comes into play. Comfy, casual, built-for-life clothing. The Chubbies original stretch shorts, for instance, they can live on your legs. Available in long, short, and way short. And let's be so real. No ad read is complete without a shout-out to the classic lined swim trunks. They look so good, and they feel so good on you. And there are Eagles editions available as well. Pair those shorts somehow, if you're going to a rooftop bar, for instance, with the Chubbies Performance Polo. Look good, feel good. That's always the motto. You get some clothing items from Chubbies, and you're good to go. You can rep the birds, or you can get some of these simple looks, which we're showing you on the screen right now. 4-way stretch comfort, structured collar on the polos, breathable moisture-wicking fabric on their clothing items, and everything keeps you cool, looking pulled together and put together. Whether you're layering up for tailgates, lounging through lazy Sundays, or just leaning fully into fall comfort, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners $10 off your order when you use the code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. That is code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. Support the show. Let them know that we sent you. It's Chubbies, the presenting sponsor for today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'm going to put that information and that link down below in the show notes and attach to the pinned comment of today's show. All right, let's move forward here for Eagles-Chiefs preview. You're watching Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out here with me. Coming up, I'm going to explain how the Philadelphia Eagles can beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 2 if they do these 5 things. And let's start to get to those keys to the game from me. Number 1, pass rush discipline against Patrick Mahomes. Because the Chiefs are a little bit talent deficient and they're without their 2 top wide receivers, Rashee Rice suspension, separated shoulder for Xavier Worthy, Patrick Mahomes feels the urge and the pressure to make things happen by himself. And frankly, he needs to, because this Chiefs offense really isn't that deep and they don't have a lot of talent. And I know that Travis Kelce did not retire. I think the Chiefs would have hoped he retired because he is not the same player who he was. We saw that last year. We saw it Week 1 against the Chargers. He doesn't have the same strength. He doesn't have the same tackle-breaking ability. He doesn't have the same getaway ability with the ability to pick up yards after the catch. And I know he had that touchdown, right? That was more of a schemed-up touchdown for Travis Kelce, more so than it being a really impressive play that he created. And what I mean by this is you can do everything right downfield in coverage with your secondary. I'm talking linebackers, corners, and safeties. You can have everything bottled up downfield. You can even generate pass rush on Patrick Mahomes. But then, because of how creative he is, with his vision, with his innate feel in the pocket, with his ability to improvise and extend plays, and with his athletic ability, because it's always been underrated, he's pretty quick and sneaky fast. He can burn you with his feet when he just gets a sliver of daylight. And then when you cover well and your pass rush nearly gets home and he takes off and runs for 10 to 15 yards, we saw it in Super Bowl 57, it deflates the defense. And against the Chargers, the playmaking ability for Mahomes was on full display. 24-39, 258 passing yards, but then he also ran in some really crucial moments 6 times for 57 yards. And so pass rush lane discipline, setting the edge against Patrick Mahomes, maybe having that quarterback spy, going to be important in this game. Key to the game number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles have to stop the run. And this was something that the Chiefs leaned on in that Week 1 game against the Chargers. The Chiefs found a lot of success running it, and it wasn't just Patrick Mahomes. It was Isaiah Pacheco and at times Kareem Hunt. Kansas City running it 17 times for 98 yards. The big number there, 5.8 yards per carry. Philadelphia against the Dallas Cowboys gave up 5.5 yards per carry. The Chiefs also had one rushing touchdown, thanks to Patrick Mahomes. And so in week 1, I thought Philadelphia, without Jalen Carter, really struggled in stopping the run. And what that does is it allows Kansas City to win time of possession, to control the clock, to wear the Eagles defense down. And this is something underrated that I don't think people talk about enough. It keeps the opposing offense on the sideline. Offense is such a rhythm-based feel when it comes down to execution and throughout the course of the game. If your offense is growing stale on the sideline and you're not able to catch that rhythm and flow, sometimes the offensive performance can be very up and down. It can be very Jekyll and Hyde. And that's why it's so important to stop the run. That's why last year, Philadelphia so often, led by Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles rushing attack, were able to dominate time of possession. And then what was so big, the Eagles defense last year stayed fresh throughout the year because they didn't have to play that many snaps because Philadelphia ate up so much clock and maintained possession of the football. Key to the game number 3, get the pass game going. In week 1 against the Cowboys, we're watching that game and we're like, is A.J. Brown going to get open? Is A.J. Brown going to get targeted? Where is Devontae Smith? Other than that Jahan Dotson 51-yard dime ball from Hurts, where was the passing game? It was kind of non-existent. And if you become one-dimensional, if you can't come through with explosive plays and generate those, Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to be able to smell blood in the water, and that Chiefs defense will start to feel confident about themselves. They'll draw some creative things up, and they'll be able to stop this Eagles offense if it's one-dimensional. And I thought that the Eagles were a little bit too Jalen Hurts reliant against Dallas. Hurts really bailed out this offense, being able to use his feet and use his legs. Now, it's not like Hurts was perfect in the pass game either. Keep in mind, you have a new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, another new play caller for Jalen Hurts. He hasn't had a lot of stability as far as the voice in his ear relaying him the plays. Can he pull the trigger at times? Yes. Can he trust his wide receivers at times? For sure. Something that Tanner McKee does so well that I wish Hurts did a little bit more often, throw up this 50-50 balls. Give your receiver a chance. Sometimes if Hurts doesn't see it and he doesn't think that the look is there, he's going to come off that read a little bit too quickly. And Steve Spagnuolo certainly knows that. And the Eagles' pass game against the Dallas Cowboys, it was just too lacking. A.J. Brown, 1 target, 1 catch, 8 yards. Now, the 1 catch that he had, one of the biggest plays of that game. And credit to him for staying cool, calm, and collected and not going off on the sideline. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices when you're a championship-level team. Nick Sirianni talked about that after the game to his Eagles team. A.J. Brown did that. But you can't play sustainable offensive football and have Super Bowl aspirations if A.J. Brown consistently isn't performing and isn't able to put up big numbers like that. And I want to see the pass game concepts be a little bit more creative and just simply better. Devontae Smith, 3 catches, 16 yards. Dallas Goedert, 7 catches for 44. Jahan Dotson, 3 catches for 59. Awesome. And I like what he did. But 51 of those came on that chunk play. Key to the game number 4. I want to see the Eagles run out of 11 personnel more often. And against the Cowboys, they went heavy. And usually when you go heavy, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and you got a lot of beef and you got a lot of bodies, you would expect that the Eagles at the line of scrimmage, at the point of attack, would be able to win that matchup, especially against a Cowboys defense that in 2024 couldn't stop the run. But surprisingly enough, Philadelphia, when they went 12, 13 personnel and they ran it, they didn't have any success at all. Saquon, out of those personnel looks and packages, had 14 carries for 30 yards, but 16 yards came on that misdirection toss. I like the creativity of that play. You faked out the defense. I said it live during the watch party, but 14 carries for 30 yards, you take away that 16-yarder, pretty much didn't do anything, right? That's 13 carries for 14 yards outside of that toss play. But when the Eagles were in 11 personnel, Saquon had 4 carries. I want to see that number go up, but he had 30 yards. Hopefully Kevin Patullo understands that, he sees that, and he can make those necessary adjustments. And then lastly, key to the game number 5, and maybe it's the biggest one when you go up against Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles in this Week 2 matchup can take down the Kansas City Chiefs once again if they put Patrick Mahomes under siege with an unrelenting pass rush. That was the formula for Philadelphia to dominate Kansas City in Super Bowl 59 when Mahomes had arguably the worst game of his career. And the formula is out there. Philadelphia in Super Bowl 59, 16 pressures, 11 quarterback hits, 6 sacks against Kansas City. They did not blitz once. And going into that game, I had said the formula to beat Mahomes is to have him under duress. The Buccaneers showed us that in Super Bowl 55 when they set a record for the most pressures in a Super Bowl. 29 of them. They accumulated 3 sacks when Tom Brady won that Super Bowl, and they had a pressure rate of 52%. And when you do that, Mahomes, he lost confidence. He wasn't sure what he was seeing, and he turned the football over. Philadelphia back in February at the Superdome, able to manufacture 3 turnovers. You do that, you're winning this football game again on Sunday in Week 2, and you're going to drop KC to 0-2 on the year. The Chiefs are without their top 2 wideouts. The Eagles are the better, more talented, and deeper team. Now, the Chiefs are desperate. You're going on the road to Arrowhead. It's a very difficult place to play. But this Eagles team in 2025 is better than the team in 2023 that went to Arrowhead and was able to eke that game out late. And I think Philadelphia can win this game once again. So I want you to predict the score. Eagles-Chiefs, Super Bowl 59 rematch. Get specific with it down in the comment section. And this is what I'm going with. We'll see what happens with Jalen Carter. Eagles 31, Chiefs 29. I think it's close. I think it's back and forth. But I think the Eagles' talent is able to outlast Kansas City. They're so good with close game and late game execution, and they edge Kansas City by 2.